Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining webinar on principal entity and telemarketer chain binding on DLT for SMS traceability. We'll start the webinar in couple of seconds. Once again, good evening. Thanks for joining the webinar. Myself, Sandesh Waman, AVP at Netcore Cloud. In today's webinar, we will discuss about the TRI direction regarding the principal entity and telemarketer chain binding on the operability platform for the SMS traceability. So the objective of this direction is to prevent the fraudulent communication and misuse of content templates, ensuring the end-to-end traceability of messages. So the agenda of the today webinar, we will understand the overview about the TRI regulation. Then we'll understand what is a PETM chain binding, actual action required from the end entities, enterprises, what Netcore is doing to comply with the regulation, direction, the impact of this direction, and the last session will be the FAQs. We will cover all the queries, questions at the end. We will also have a quick demo on how to add a telemarketer or how to define the PETM chain on the DLT portal. So let's understand about the overall TRI regulation, which was released in 2018. So I believe most of the participant aware on the overall regulation part, still will cover it. So the regulation started with the principal entity and the telemarketer registration. Then the next phase, so different phases, the regulation was implemented. Next phase was the send ID header registration. Next to that, template, and then consent management. Last month or the start of month, we are aware that URL whitelisting, that is a CTA whitelisting direction was implemented. It went live on the 1st October. Now we have a PETM chain binding mapping for the SMS traceability, which is ongoing as per the TRI direction. So what is the PETM chain binding directives? So on 20th August 2024, TRI have issued a regulation for covering the unauthorized activities and misuse of telecom resources, as I just explained the objective of this direction. So as in the direction, as per the clause number 10C, effective from 1st November 2024, all messages must be traceable. Any message where telemarketer chain is undefined, incomplete, it should be rejected or it will be rejected by the telecom service provider, that is the operator. So what direction says that all principal entities, all brands need to disclose the entire chain involved in the SMS communication. So the SMS communication flows from the end entity to the different telemarketers to the telcos. So the chain needs to be disclosed, which will include the telemarketer aggregation function and delivery function. And this will be the between P and operator. So some abbreviations used in the this session is like principal entity. So the meaning of principal entity is nothing but an entity or brands who are generating or who are owning the SMS traffic or who are sending the SMS. A telemarketer aggregator is nothing but who aggregate or who carry the SMS but don't have any delivery function. They don't have the basically connectivity to the telcos, only aggregate the traffic from the entity. And third, which is like netcore, we are a telemarketer delivery function. We have a connectivity with all telcos and we register as a telemarketer delivery with the DLT as per the regulation. We will move to important point on this regulation or direction. The exact action required from the entities to comply with this regulation. So end entity need to log in to the operator DLT portal, any operator DLT portal which they have registered. So end entity need to or end brand need to register or end brand have to log in to the DLT portal as a principal entity. For example, in case of Vodafone, they have given an option which is a chain option. When you click on the chain option on the DLT, you will redirect to add the telemarketer. Other operators will be having the similar option to add the telemarketer on the DLT. The next section will be like entering the Netcore cloud or your telemarketer name. The TM ID will get auto-populated. In some operators, you need to mention it or enter it. In the case of Vodafone, once you enter the Netcore cloud, the telemarketer ID will get auto-populated. So you need to submit. Once you enter the ID, you need to submit the request. Once the request is submitted, basically you have added Netcore as a telemarketer. The chain will be like P. Take an example of ABC Bank. They have added Netcore on their DLT portal and submitted that request. That request will come to us as a telemarketer and we will approve that request on the DLT. Once we approve the request, chain request, it will again go to the principal entity who requested it, and that entity need to approve that PTM chain. Once that chain is approved by the end entity, the chain is completed. Don't worry, I will also have a demo wherein you can understand these steps in a better way. So whatever we discuss about the like entities which are directly connected to the netcore, we as a delivery function. So in the chain, when anyone basically start the chain, it should be started with the P. If it is a directly connected to the netcore, we are a telemarket delivery function. You can tag us or you can add us on the DLT. The chain will get completed. In the case wherein any brand or P having the multiple aggregator in between, okay, it can be defined, and at the end that aggregator need to add telemarketer, netcore as a telemarketer for the delivery function. So just to better understanding, the chain started with the principal entity and end with the telemarketer like netcore who have a delivery function. So let's quickly understand this with the VL demo. So once any entity logs you to the, just a minute. So you can see the Vodafone DLT portal here. Once the entity logs in to the Vodafone DLT portal, there is an option called as chains. Once the entity click on the chains, they need to click on the new chain. Once they click on the new chain, you can mention the chain name. Let's say take an example of ABC. I'm just giving an example. You can put a meaningful name over there. Okay. Let's say take an example like ABC Bank Netcore. So this is what chain name. Now here click on select telemarketer. Put the Netcore cloud as a telemarketer name and our ID, TM ID will be displayed there. So you can see here the chain name you need to mention, specify, then you need to select our Netcore Cloud as a telemarketer delivery function and click on submit. Once you submit, this request will come to us. We will approve that request, and once it is approved, again you need to basically log into your DLT portal to approve from your side. So in this way, you will get the option here. So the entity is already approved. So that's why the option is not there, but you will get the option here wherein in the bottom below the business description, you will get an option to approve the chain of netcode. Once you approve that chain, you can see like this. So the approval status is approved, okay, and the chain is active. You can see the information here. Chain status is approved. So for a demo purpose, we just mapped our PE with the netcode TM. You can see here, basically this is a PE ID and this is our telemarketer ID. So the chain status should be approved and the overall status needs to be approved and active. You can see when it was last modified, mapped with whom, the number of members in the chain. In this way, in case your chain is showing pending, which means the chain is not completed, you need to connect with the telemarketer to get it approved. So this is an example wherein the chain is showing pending because the end entity haven't basically approved from their end. So once you do the activity on the DLT, the status should show like this: approved and active. For more information, you can click on this I option and you will get the chain ID, chain name, and when the data created. In a similar way, you can add multiple telemarketer. Like if you add some other telemarketer like ABC Bank wants to add XYZ telemarketer, then they can select in that way. Okay, so multiple telemarketer option is given. Once they select it, they can submit. So whatever the telemarketer you have with you, you can check with them and accordingly you can add it. In the case of Netcore, you need to select Netcore Cloud here and submit. And once the change is approved, you can see this status. Okay, we'll again move to the presentation to understand the impact and what Netcore is doing for to comply with this regulation. Okay, so we just gone through on how to add the telemarketer on the DLT. So once the end entity approves, the chain is completed. Chain, I'm just repeating, chain needs to be start with the principal entity, that is a brand. Then the next telemarketer. If it is a telemarketer with the delivery function like Netcore, the request will come to us. We will approve it. Once we approve, the end entity needs to again relog into the DLT portal and approve the complete chain. And then only the chain will get completed. Same thing with the other operator DLT portals. So let's understand what is the Netcore doing for this direction. We are already registered as a telemarketer with delivery function. Our telemarketer ID is mentioned there. We are also making the necessary changes on the DLT platform, on our platform as per the DLT requirements or as per the operator changes given to comply with the regulation. So basically, we will pass the chain to the operator. Example, ABC Bank PID will be submitted by the ABC Bank, okay, in the chain. Then we will pass ABC Bank's PID and our telemarketer ID to the operator, which will be having the chain information. That chain will be checked by the operator. If it is approved on the DLT, the SMS will deliver. If the chain is not defined on the DLT, the SMS will not get delivered or it will fail. So as of now, there is no testing environment available for the testing this functionality, as operator haven't provided the same to us. So in case we get any sandbox testing environment from the operators, we will also uh, extend that testing with the brands or entities. So let's understand the impact. So what is the impact if an entity fail to take action, or will if they don't define the chain on the DLT, the all SMS will be failed post 1st November. So it is strongly recommended or it is mandatory to register your chain well before the 1st November to avoid any disruption. Important point here, if you register or if you define your chain on any of the operator, it will get sync with the other operators. So you need not to do it again and again with different operators. Once you do it on the one operator, it will get sync. But in case you have a multiple telemarketer, if you have multiple vendors through them you are sending traffic, you need to define the chain for each vendor. Okay, so we already did a demo on PET mapping. The forum is open for the questions and answers. So one question I already answered about the regarding the synchronization of the chain across the operators. So we have multiple questions. I will take the questions one by one. Don't worry. In case if any question is remains unaddressed, we will share the webinar recording and the FAQs post this webinar. So one question is there, what is the chain name? So chain name is like a meaningful name you can give for your reference, because if you have multiple vendors, in that case, you should able to understand the chain is prepared for which vendor or which telemarketer. Next question, how many times we need to do this activity, or this is a one-time activity? This is a one-time activity. Once you define a chain, that will work. No need to again and again do it at the same chain, and avoid defining the same chain again means refrain from adding the duplicate chain. Once you add the netcore as a telemarketer on the DLT, don't add it again. And we request you to tag or only use our netcore cloud as a telemarketer ID. This is ID which you need to add on the DLT portal. Okay, the next question is that if we are sending the SMS from client service provider, who should add the team ID of service provider on the DLT, or client or us? So basically, when you are sending the SMS, okay, you can check with your next stream whether they are registered as a telemarketer aggregator. You can add them, okay, and accordingly define a chain. Just ensure that so chain will end with the telemarketer delivery function. It will start with the principal entity PID and it will end with the telemarketer delivery function. In between, there can be a uh, multiple telemarketer aggregator can be defined as per the Vodafone. It can be a max 3. So there is question, can chain have multiple nodes? The question is unclear. So as I mentioned, if you have multiple vendors, you can define a chain for multiple vendors accordingly their telemarketer type. If they are telemarketer delivery function, they have the telemarketer delivery function or the telemarketer aggregator function. So we are a SMS aggregator and we have multiple customers. We are also submitting message to the SMS aggregator how to define the chain. As I already explained, so in case you are a SMS aggregator, okay, check what exactly you are registered on the DLT. Okay, ideal scenario is that the principal entity, okay, if you have your, in case of reseller, take an example of reseller, okay. So in case of reseller, they should be having the telemarketer aggregator function because they are carrying the traffic of their next chain. Okay, ABC entity sending the message to the reseller. Okay, reseller is now next sending to the message to the next telemarketer. So the reseller needs to be a telemarketer aggregator in this case. Can you share the recording with us? Definitely post the webinar. We will send the recording. Okay, how much time it takes to get the chain approved? So basically, the chain approval should happen on the same day. We are trying to approve the chain in couple of hours. Okay, but if you have multiple telemarketer aggregator in between, then it depends on the request is starting from where and ending to where. In case you are tagging the netcore as a telemarketer, we are just trying to get it approved on the priority, but as the requests are coming, so it will take a couple of hours to approve and then you can again approve from your side. It will happen on the same day. So there was question today morning I add a chain, but it time it is showing as a pending. So I will suggest if you have added the chain, you can just reach out to the respective telemarketer. If it is a netcore, you can reach out to our support team, and definitely we will approve it if it is a pending. Ideally, it should not be pending, but make sure that you add netcore cloud as a telemarketer. We prefer the Vodafone one if you have Vodafone, but no worries if you register on the other DLT also, you can add the chain there as well. There is one question. I use two headers to send out SMS for two different brands. Do I need to add two separate chains? See, basically, the overall functionality is about the PTM mapping. Okay. So if you are using the different P's, okay, or you are handling the or carrying the traffic of two different P's, then accordingly the chain needs to be basically created. Okay, if you are directly asking your P's and entities to tag the netcore, then there will be no chain. Is there anything we need to do on telemarketer tab? As of now, only you need to define a chain. Okay. Basically, some operators have the telemarketer tab and all, but current regulation is focused on defining the chain. So first, you need to define the chain. Why do we need to testing environment? We only need to complete a chain. I understand that you don't need to any testing environment, but some entities ask for it. So that's why we mentioned that as of now, the testing environment is not there. So you just have to add the telemarketer. No testing ideally need to be done as of now. We have one more question. This registration of TMID on DLT portal is only required for SMS only, or it is for WhatsApp also? See, this is all we are discussing about the only SMS. Okay. This is related to only A2P SMSs, not about WhatsApp. So what will be the common P identifier between VI platform and the service provider? The question is not bit uh, clear. Okay. If you want to log into the VI daily portal, there is an option called as a principal entity login, telemarketer login. Okay. So as per your role, you can log into that portal. So there is one question, push SMS and OTP messages both are going through the net core. So I need to do some different activity for SMS. See, this PTM binding is not with respect to some trans or promo messages. It is applicable for all messages. So uh, irrespective of what you are sending, means it is a promotional, transactional, OTP or any SMS you are sending a to SMS, the PTM binding is mandatory. That needs to be done. How many time that it to approve? The question is bit unclear. So as already explained, we need to add the telemarketer. Telemarketer will approve that request. Telemarketer means netcore will, whatever telemarketer you add, if it is a netcore, we will approve it, and PU again approved it, reapprove means reapprove from their side. The chain will be completed. So how will TM will come to know that there is one request pending for them to approve on their side to get this status updated in portal? So basically, whenever you add a telemarketer, email notification get generated. Whenever we approve your entity, email notification from the operator side get generated, and the end entity authorized person will receive that email notification. So for every action, there is an email notification being generated once you add the telemarketer or once the telemarketer approves that P. There is one question, what is the bit difference between aggregator and delivery? So I believe this is question more or less related to the telemarketer aggregator and telemarketer delivery. So basically telemarketer aggregator is the basically the, I will say, the party who just carries the traffic. Okay, they carries the traffic from the end entity and branch and forward to the next level. Okay, they don't generate or they don't deliver that with the help of operator. So they just carry the traffic. End entity or end enterprise, they generate the traffic SMS SMSs. Okay, if it is a the telemarketer aggregator role is to carry and forward the traffic, and telemarketer delivery role is to deliver that messages to the operator. So basically, telemarketer delivery will have the operator connectivity and they can push the messages to the operator. Next question, how many telemarketer an entity can configure at a time? Do you have that chain process for other DLT portals? So basically, you can, if you have multiple telemarketer, you can define the chain. As of now, operator haven't given any limitation on defining the different change. Okay, so you can, if you have four telemarketer, you can add them on the DLT and get it approved from the telemarketer. So other operator process, definitely as soon we get the user manuals from the other operator, we will share it in our next communication so that you can get more clarity on other operator processes also. So for my, there is one question for my company. Many people have their account credential as an enterprise. Do all of us need to add a chain separately, or if it is done by me, then it is done for all? See, maybe under one principal entity login, okay, there might be sub user created. So if your principal entity ID is one, your login basically your main principal entity ID is there, and there will be sub user. If you define a chain once, that is sufficient because all other sub users can see that chain. Okay, we have some more queries. Uh, okay, is it compulsory to have TM ID for all the participants in the chain? Yes, basically a telemarketer is mandatory, okay, to complete the chain because the chain is defined in a such way that principal entity will be the requester and telemarketer will approve it. So there should be a one telemarketer delivery function needs to be mandatory there in the chain. So what is the TAT? We are trying to approve the all request as soon we receive it, but it will take couple of hours considering the flow of request from the entities. Is this a new registration if required to be incorporated in SMS API? So this question somehow not clear. So this is not an anything related to the SMS API. This is the activity you need to do on the operator DLT portal. Okay, as of now, no changes in the API. We have some more question. Are there multiple types of telemarketer? What they I already explained it. I think multiple times. There are two type of telemarketer. One is a telemarketer with aggregator function, and another one is a telemarketer with delivery function. So Netcore, we are a telemarketer with delivery function. Your chain will get end at our side means when you define Netcore as a delivery function, so the chain will get completed. Uh, What is the meaning of number of member in a chain mapping request? Number of member is basically how many members are there in a chain. So let's say entity approves the telemarketer and that telemarketer is the aggregator, then he will add a next telemarketer who might have the delivery function. In that case, that number of member will get increased. But if it is like an PE to telemarketer delivery, the number of member will be as I shown in the portal. Multiple telemarketer can be mapped to the one P. Yes, one P can map the multiple telemarketer. The change should be different. One question is coming. I am not able to get netcode TM ID by default in the drop down. See, so you need to type in the case of Vodafone. Okay, you need to type netcode space cloud. The our TM name and ID will display in the drop down. It is not by default there. You need to type it. Again, the question is repeated. Is there any need of chain for transaction SMS? As I mentioned, irrespective of any SMS you are sending, the chain needs to be defined on the operator DLT platform. Do we need to do do this mapping on all DLT platform? We use Vodafone, Airtel. See, if you do the mapping on any one platform, it will get synced to the other DLT operators. No need to do it again and again for the same telemarketer. uh, so we have covered almost all frequently asked question. There is one question coming that I'm not sure who is the telemarketer party and PE. So in this case, I will request you to just connect with the SMS provider to whom you are sending the messages. They will definitely clarify that whether they are a telemarketer, aggregator, or delivery. Some questions are coming basically. This is somehow maybe some entities are using the SMPP. Okay. So if they are basically directly using the netcode telemarketer, there is no changes for them. But in case if you are using the SMPP, you are sending the request to the or you are adding to the telemarketer with the aggregate function, and there is one more telemarketer in the chain. Definitely, there will be some changes in the TLB for SMPP. For the SMS API C platform, there is no change. You need to just add a telemarketer or define a chain on the DLT. Okay. So we have basically covered all frequently asked questions. In case if you have any queries, feel free to reach out to our support team. Thanks for joining the webinar. Thank you.